So, funny thing happened on my way to making my video for Women's History Month. It's me, your buddy Dave, the host here at the Dark Stuff channel on YouTube, and I also have a website called thedarkstuff.com. Thanks for checking out my latest video. So about, a week and a half ago or so, I did a video which is a review of the album Quilt Floor by Mama Zoo. And Mama Zoo features the final recordings of a woman named Jessie Zazu, who used to be the singer and guitar player for Those Darlings, and she passed away in 2017. So I got a comment on the video from a pretty frequent commenter, and who said, hey, if I did a tag for like a vinyl tag for a video focusing on Women's History Month, would you be interested? I said, yeah, sure, okay. I said, no promises, but send me the tag and we'll take a look at it. Well, then I didn't hear anything about it. And flash forward, I've been working on a couple other videos all at once, and I knew it was Women's History Month, and I thought about making a video, but I wasn't sure. So this morning, I'm watching a couple of videos on YouTube, and I start seeing some of these pop up. 10 artists to celebrate Women's History Month, 20 artists to celebrate, and I'm like, yeah, I should do that. So I was going to take a screenshot of that comment and say that I was going to maybe try and incorporate a little bit of that, but I never heard it, or never heard back from the person. Turns out I did, though, and I didn't know because I never got a notification for it. So today, when I went to take a screenshot of the comment to say I never heard back from this person, there it was with their 20 questions. So I do apologize. I'm not going to do that particular tag. I will pin it as a comment at the top of the comments, and other people feel free to do it. It's very in-depth. It's a lot of good questions, but I just wasn't prepared to go that deep a dive. I kind of wanted to do something a little more fun and spontaneous. So for my contribution to Women's History Month, not that anyone's asking for my contribution, I am wearing my St. Vincent hoodie, by the way. Okay? So I'm going to pick 10 records that represent 10 artists that are women in music that I think are great. Hopefully, maybe you know them, maybe you don't. These aren't the 10. These aren't the best 10. These aren't my favorite 10. These don't claim to represent all types of music or even all types of stuff that I like. They're just 10. Okay, first up is Fiona Apple, one of my all-time favorites. I mean, there's no way I could celebrate anything remotely talking about really important women artists without talking about Fiona Apple. She is one of my favorites. I got into her right when the first album came out, Tidal. I was working in a record store at the time, and my boss used to he loved every female artist. Didn't matter. If it had a female singer, he loved it, and he played it in the store all the time. And when that Fiona record came out, I kind of didn't want to like it because of the Criminal video, and I thought she was more of a pop star, and I was like just not interested. But after hearing the album 10 or 15 times while working in the store, I grew to love it, and she has become one of my favorite artists. I mean, when The Pawn came out a few years later, and then every album that she's made up to Fetch the Bolt Cutters just a few years ago has been phenomenal. I've only been fortunate enough to see her in concert one time, and that was many years ago when she was opening for Coldplay. And this is a testament. You know how much I like Fiona Apple if I was willing to subject myself to a Coldplay concert just to see her. Okay, next up alphabetically, Babes in Toyland. Okay, this is actually their first full-length album called Spank Machine. And this is a band from Minneapolis, a trio started in the late 80s. I remember vividly the first time that I saw them because it was such an amazing and revelatory experience. I was living in Madison, Wisconsin at the time, and there used to be this club called Club de Wash. It burned down in probably 96, 97 or so, unfortunately. And they used to have like Wash Fest or Club de Wash Fest or something where they'd have 3 nights where just great indie and punk bands would come in and play at this thing. And so I remember one night was Pavement, one night was Babes in Toyland. I can't remember what the other night was. So for the Babes in Toyland night, I didn't know the band. All I knew was they were from the Twin Cities and they were on Twin Tone Records. That's the label responsible for the Replacements, Soul Asylum, Jayhawks, so many other bands, Skunk, so many others. So I wanted to give them a shot. Didn't know anything about them. And they walk on stage at Club de Wash, and I always get my spot, which is like stage left, okay, which is, if you're looking at the stage, I'm on the right, but it's called stage left. Anyways, right in front of where Kat Bajeland is going to stand, okay? And they walk on stage, and you see Lori with all the dreads hitting and she just goes, do, 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 do. Go. It was the most incredible, like, hour or whatever, 70, I don't even remember how long it was, almost that I've ever seen. That band was so freaking intense. Kat was incredible. I couldn't believe there was all that spit and anger and venom coming out of this little 5'2" woman in a baby doll dress, which, by the way, she coined that. She used to do that way before Courtney Love did, just saying. Their stuff was maybe a little bit too abrasive for the mainstream, and you may still find it a little abrasive now. I mean, it's timelessly abrasive. But Babes in Toyland was one of the most incredible bands, live bands that I've ever seen. I saw them 3 other times after that. Great, every time. Okay, naturally I was going to have the Bangles on, of course, but I always show all over the place, like in every fucking video. So in this case, I'm going to show you, ladies and gentlemen, the Bangles. This is a compilation of their earliest recordings. Some from before they changed their name to the Bangles. They used to be the Bangs. So there's a couple of songs from the Bangs. It's got all their early singles, live recordings, demos. This is the early garagey Bangles, the stuff I love the most, although I did love their mainstream poppy stuff too, okay? I mean, I know it was sometimes a little cheesy, but it didn't make any difference. I loved all of it from the get-go, so the Bangles. Okay, this next artist, I'm showing the album Belly, okay, King, the second album from this group from the 90s. But really, the person is Tanya Donelly. And she started off in the group Throwing Muses, which I could have used as well with her half-sister, Kristen Hirsch. Then she left that band and formed The Breeders, which I also could have included with Kim Deal from the Pixies. She left that group after one album and started on her own, which was Belly. And the 2 albums they made are phenomenal. I happen to like the second one better. They made a 3rd album a few years ago as a comeback, also quite good. Next up, Pat Benatar. Here's a Live from Earth. When I was a kid growing up in the very early 80s, Pat Benatar was a radio fixture. And then she became an MTV fixture, and you would see every single one of her videos were in heavy rotation. They were all good. Her voice was just so incredible. She was just hard rock enough to appeal to me, being into hard rock and heavy metal at that time in the early 80s, early to mid 80s. But she wasn't heavy. She wasn't metal, obviously. But she just had enough of it. Her voice was so good. She's so many great singles. I mean, Hit Me With Your Best Shot, Heartbreaker, Fire and Ice, Sex as a Weapon, whatever. That was probably the final one, that the one with Sex as a Weapon. I think it's called Seven the Hard Way. Was probably the last Benatar album that I ever bought. But I loved her stuff back then. She was incredible. Okay, I really wanted to include just Neko Case on this one, but I didn't have any vinyl of Neko Case, so I just decided to represent her with this Case Lang Veers. And that's actually okay, because it's another record she made with 2 other women, Katie Lang and Veers. I don't know who Veers is. I forget her name. I apologize. But Neko Case has been really important to me. I named my cat Neko, even though my cat is black and not redheaded, which would make more sense. I got into her through the band New Pornographers. I heard them first, then I went back and checked out her solo music because I loved her voice so much. I think I heard The Virginian, and then I started getting every subsequent record that she did. I've seen her in concert multiple times. Her voice is exquisite. There are no affects put on her recordings. It is just her voice and a microphone, and you can tell that when you see her live. It is 100%. She's amazing. Okay, probably the newest artist that I'm putting in my 10 here for Women's History Month is Deep Sea Diver, which is really this woman, Jessica Dobson. It's her project. She's a pretty incredible guitar player and musician, and started off, she was a touring musician with Beck, and she was with the Shins and some other bands. And then she started this Deep Sea Diver to represent her music that she wrote. This is their 3rd album. It's called Impossible Weight. I think it was 2020 when it came out. Yeah, 2020. So it's already a couple years old. I know they're about to release a new one. It's got a collaboration with Sharon Van Etten on here, which is great, by the way. Really special, great songwriter, great musicianship, but not noodly or boring or whatever. It's just the right amount of musicianship. I know they've been touring with Pearl Jam recently, so expect their profile to go like way up, but Deep Sea Diver and then Jessica Dobson there. All right, couldn't do one of these videos without Juliana Hatfield. This is her album, Pussycat. I love all of her stuff. I love the stuff she did with the Blake Babies. I like the stuff she did with Paul Westerberg, with the guy from Not a Surf, with all of her various side projects that she's done, including all of her solo stuff. I've been with her the entire time. I never abandoned Juliana Hatfield. I buy every one of her albums, no matter what. Great to see her getting a bit of a career renaissance with some of these covers records that she's doing. She did one for ELO, one for The Police, one for Olivia Newton-John. They're all fantastic. They made me appreciate Olivia Newton-John, which I didn't think was possible. Okay, here's my 9th one, and I'm actually in the middle of doing a long-form video on this next artist, on Jenny Lewis. This is her album, The Voyager, and I just saw her in concert, so I'm putting together a video that's going to talk about some of her records and that show, because it was so great. I have said on more than one occasion that I view Jenny Lewis to be the greatest songwriter of the 2000s. Okay, to have come into their first album started in the 2000s. I would say Jenny Lewis, absolutely my favorite, back from when she was in Rilo Kiley. She does she's a voice on the Postal Service. I love the record she did as Jenny and Johnny, all of these solo records. I mean, it's just incredible. Rock, pop, country, indie, Laurel Canyon vibe. I mean, she just has all sorts of different vibes. She is just incredible, Jenny Lewis. Okay, and then finally, we're talking about St. Vincent. I think this was fairly obvious. I was going to include her on this. St. Vincent, my overall favorite artist so far of the 2000s. She just is absolutely incredible. Yeah, I didn't totally like the last album, Daddy's Home, but so what? Okay, I really dig in the new single that just came out. St. Vincent is an incredible musician, a thoroughly unique artist out there in the world today. I don't really know how she fits in, but I'm glad she's starting to finally fit in. Writer, producer, guitar player, she has it all. She's absolutely incredible, St. Vincent. Okay, so those are my 10. Again, not the 10, not the 10 best, not the 10 only, not the whatever, just 10. Please leave a comment below with your suggestions and anyone you think I might have left out. Of course, I left out somebody, but who would you use in your video? Or better yet, do a video on your own and let me know. I would love to watch it. Take care. Bye-bye.
So, you have a MySpace page or something?